Hi, I hope you've had a good day and welcome to the Sky Spirit channel. My name's Naomi. I'm a witch, I'm a spirit artist, and I'm a tarot reader. And this program is called Tarot Tells, where I use the tarot cards to look at current situations or characters that everybody's talking about, just to see if we can get some insight from the cards. Today, I'll be looking at the Asteroid 2024 Y24 that's been identified by NASA in recent days as posing a threat to the Earth, with the potential for an impact in 2032. So I'll be using the tarot cards to see what comes out about that situation. As you can see, this is a new channel, so I'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. I've always wanted to say that, because my aim for this channel is to get enough subscribers so that I can go live and then answer your queries live on air with the tarot cards. Thank you for being here and enjoy the tarot reading. So I'm focusing on the question, thinking about that meteor and the implications that it might have for our planet. Are we being told the full story? What's going on behind the scenes? Is anything going on behind the scenes? Is there anything that we should know that we don't know? Okay, let's have a look and see what the cards have to say. So, the question and the issues crossing it. First of all, we've got the Knight of Cups reversed, which indicates some deceit. And then we've got a very interesting card going across that question, if you like. Seven of Swords. Now, to me, the Seven of Swords often indicates something underhand, almost as if we're not being told the full story, and there's a lot of keeping the truth from the masses for fear of causing a disruption, I guess, because the original question, we've got the Knight of Cups reversed, which would indicate that it's very much an issue of humanity is thinking about where are we going from here? How do we move forward? But that's been stilted by a few people in control who assume that they know best. And this card really indicates to me that we are not being told the full story about this meteorite and potentially any impact, no pun intended, but any impact it might have on our planet and our civilization. Now, the one thing that struck me about this spread immediately is that there's actually all four knights: the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles. All four knights have come out into this spread. Now, that can mean a few things depending on the situation, but how I'm interpreting it in this spread is there's a lot of fighting between key players, and there's a lot of people thinking they know best or their way is best. And it's almost like, you know, what comes into my head is, say, in the, I don't know, the 60s, the 70s, the Cold War, when it was sort of one-upmanship between the superpowers. There's almost that sort of feeling. There's like, you've got some major players on the playing field, and there's like a real power struggle going on between them. Now, how that relates to the meteorite could be quite interesting, because it could be about how the potential of any threat is dealt with. It could potentially be how the sort of general masses are informed and what they're told, or it could be something else, like we don't know what the meteorite is, and is it what we've been told? So the fighting could potentially involve not just human beings. There could be some off-world involvement there. So that's the initial question and the issues crossing it. So it's a really strong feeling of deceit and underhandedness, which is really interesting. Okay, so moving on, this card would indicate the sort of situation that was just preceding this discovery of the meteorite with the potential to impact Earth. Now, the Knight of Wands is a really positive card, and it's really about energy and adventure and discoveries and science even. So I'm going to say that this card has really given us the history of, there's a lot of scientists who have humanity's best interests at heart that have put a lot of work into developing the technology and the ways and means of discovering these type of threats, alongside obviously discovering other things like new stars, new planets, etc. So I think the intention is really good in the background of this discovery. So it's like the scientists who discovered it aren't involved in the fighting. So it's been seen, they've identified it's potentially a threat, and they've put it to the powers that be, shall we say, that the public should be informed. Now, this card is sort of events, sort of very, very recent past, I'm going to say. Now, this card, the Nine of Wands, is very much about sort of, I don't know, standing your ground, having resilience and determination. So it's almost like there's already been a fight concerning releasing the information that's been released. And I feel that some of this deceit has been about whether this information could be released in the first place. And excuse me, somebody's put up a real fight, or a group of people have really put up a fight, and they've been really determined in making sure that we're given this information, or at least we're given a version of the information. The card at the top here represents it's really, we're looking at an outcome given current circumstances. What's the most likely outcome that we're going to see at the moment? Okay, so this is all quite recent. It's quite rounded. If you think of the questions here in space-time, and then these cards here are all quite close in time. Now, the Nine of Cups it's a really good card, and it's about joy, celebration, but it can also indicate something that's achieved through hard work, and sometimes somebody that's been very determined to push something through and it works out in the way that they wanted it to. This is a card that sometimes turns up in those cases. So I'm interpreting this to mean that the way things are, the way that this meteorite comet, no, it's a meteorite, isn't it, has been discovered, there's been a fight to enable us to be told some information. Now, because of the deceit involved, it could well be that we haven't been told the full amount of information. So perhaps we've got a version of the truth, but perhaps the risk is being underestimated, or perhaps there's something else we're not being told about the meteorite. Is it a meteorite? Do we know where it's come from? For example, I believe it appeared in December 2024, and they just sort of caught first glimpse of it. So where has it been? How have they not seen it till then? I mean, goodness, I'm not an astrophysicist, but it seems bizarre that something the size of a football field can just suddenly appear from nowhere. So what is it that we're not being told? If we've been told only part of the story, is this outcome here, is this indicative of how that will feel, given that we only have part of the story? So it's almost like it's coming to me, the phrase, ignorance is bliss. So this to me is saying this is your outcome with your current state of mind. Now, if we take it that we haven't been told the full truth about this meteorite, then this is bliss, okay? This is bliss and joy. And this subterfuge, this deceit, withholding this information has made us ignorant. So our ignorance is bliss. Now, of course, I mean, that sounds like a great idea to me, but of course, information is power. So I'm guessing that this fight as well could possibly be between there's powers that want us to know and think that we should know, and then there's those in power who think that it's the wrong idea to let us know the full truth, to give us disclosure about this meteorite. What is it? What is the actual risk? Where has it come from? Why is it here? What's going to happen? Okay, so again, we are moving over to this card here, which is almost going to be like the immediate events in the future. So we're moving over to that future side of the cards here. So I'm looking here at strength, and it's reversed, which is usually indicative of a weakness or an illness. Now, the way that this is laid out, I'm looking at this and thinking that basically it's almost as if it's the weakness is coming from the disinformation, because actually, yeah, I've just said like knowledge is power, and the knowledge is being withheld from us. So the knowledge is stripped from us. So we're left in a weaker position. And I guess that could be quite literal, because, for example, if a meteorite was to impact the Earth, if we weren't told where the impact would be, how big it would be, so on and so forth, then we're in quite a weak position, because we could just be smashed to bits. I don't mean to be alarmist there, but on the other hand, it's also a general thing that not being told the full story does leave you in a position where you're weaker, and you have to rely on the powers that be to tell you what's going on. And we've identified there's deceit here, and there's a lot of infighting. And I see a group of powerful men who have got different agendas, really fighting over how this should be dealt with best. And we're left in the weakest position. Okay, so I'm going to move on to this card. Now I'm going to say that this card is the position. This is a Celtic cross spread, a sort of variation of it. So this card would be almost called, it would be called self. But because we're doing a reading of almost like for all of us, we're going to say that is our collective understanding of the situation at the moment, and the collective vibe. And that is a knight, which usually indicates movement and events and fast things happening. But of course it's reversed. So it's swords. So we're looking at intellect or conflict and energy. But that reverse of it is making me feel like somebody's trying to battle their way through to sort out the best solution for this situation. And we are being held back by the disinformation. So it's like, it's almost like, let me think, it's like there's tyranny involved here. There's tyranny, and somebody wants a fight. So this is going to affect us all, the self, the collective self. We're all going to be affected by this problem and by the tyranny that's involved in covering up or manipulating the information that's involved with this asteroid and this meteorite and the potential it has to strike Earth and the implications of that. So somebody's up for a fight. I mean, this spread is so indicative of infighting and trouble and, just deceit and things being withheld and somebody saying they should know this and somebody else saying, no, tell them nothing. And that's where I'm getting with this. That's where we are. So moving on from that, I'm going to move this up here for a moment. So this is really, I'm looking at the environment that we're in at the moment. And we've got another knight, and we've got the Knight of Pentacles there. So I'm going to say that this card, it sort of fits, but it sort of doesn't. And I'll explain what I mean, because there's now 4 knights on the table here, which is really unusual. I mean, I don't know what the odds are. I'm absolutely rubbish at maths, but that is quite an unusual thing to come out. But it's also, this card is in the position of the environment, and it's talking about progression and money and material things. And I'm going to say that a lot of possibly the information, misinformation, that we're being told, things that we're being not told, there is a material reason behind that. There's a money reason. That's a motivator for some of this fighting that's going on and this deception. I'm going to say that it's strongly motivated by somebody wants to make something from it or wants to make sure somebody else doesn't. There's a power struggle going on here. And the power struggle is, I mean, let's face it, if the meteorite strikes the Earth and there's a great big impact, a big impact, then all the infighting doesn't matter because we'll all be wiped out. But because they're sort of predicting, as far as we know, what we've been told, that this could be a smaller strike, still massive, still a huge problem, but not an extinction event. So if you put yourself in the position of, let's say, some of the elite, some of these people that have been digging bunkers and, controlling the water and etc., this could be like the ideal time for them because they get lots of the population are gone. They get access to all the resources, they get more control. So this card really fits in to this little scenario that's building up. Okay. Right. I'm looking at outcomes now. So remember this outcome here was almost like a superficial outcome. So the ignorance is bliss thing. So it's fine. We can bury our heads in the sand. We'll all be happy as Larry, having a few drinks, bang, world's gone, not a problem. However, we've also got the main outcome over here. So this is sort of a more global outcome, would that be the word for it? Rather than, I want to say this is personal. This is like the global outcome, the far-reaching, the overreaching outcome. And you've got the Queen of Wands there reversed. Okay, so I'm going to say that this is very much to do with the Queen of Wands could almost be described as Mother Earth, okay? Because your wands are your energy, your thoughts, your ideas. And I always think of the Queen of Wands as Mother Earth, as Gaia, and she's reversed. Now, that would say to me that it's a huge impact on a huge impact on the Earth as a planet or civilization. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the meteorite's going to strike, we're all going to die, the end of the world. It could mean that these events are going to be a turning point for the Earth. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Goodness knows we can't go on as we are going. Something needs to change. So this could be how it changes. Now, there's also, if you look at the Queen of Wands here, it's got the black cat. I don't know if you can see that on the card as well, which is an indication that she is very much in touch with her shadow state, or perhaps she has, an interest in things that are beyond science. Okay, so there's also an indication here that there might be a more spiritual outcome for the planet. So, however this problem is resolved, then what comes after it would be of a new paradigm, so a more spiritual paradigm. That's how I'm interpreting this. I've got one more card to turn over here to go with your outcome. Okay, so we've got the star here, and it is reversed. And let me have a think about this one. It's a shame it's come out reversed, because it's such a good card when it's not reversed, but the star indicates hopes and dreams. And really, when you're looking at the star reversed, and I'm also looking at it in combination with the Queen of Wands reversed here, it's quite indicative of disappointment. So I think basically what we're seeing here is there is going to be a big turning point. There's going to be a lot of disappointment in how we have been kept informed about this and other situations that involve us and our living on this planet, because it is our planet. And for a long, long time now, it hasn't felt like our planet, because there are a certain percentage of people who seem to want to control everything, have everything, and keep the rest of us down. So I think that's going to become really apparent. It's going to come out into the open. It's going to be illuminated, almost like written in stars, like your rulers are full of beep. So I think that's looking like an outcome from this whole situation, which is really interesting. So just to recap, we have a lot of issues of deceit, and we're not being told the full story here. Now, it seems that there's been a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes in order to bring this information to the front. But that's been constrained. There are powers that be. The powers that be are fighting over this behind the scenes. Now, I'm also sensing that this might not just be, I don't know how to say this, it might not just be the earthly powers that be, if you see what I mean. There could be almost an element of a spiritual battle going on here. So the powers of dark, the powers of light. But there's certainly infighting, outfighting, in-world fighting, out-world fighting. There's a ton of stuff going on behind the scenes here. And we are not being told. We're not being told. There are some elements, there are some authorities, or there's some powers that be, shall we say, that are wanting humanity to be told. They want us to be informed so that we're prepared. However, the feeling of this is, it's not. I can't see it happening. I can't see us being given full disclosure about this event, because ignorance is bliss, and that's how the powers that be would like us to remain. Because if we're blissed out, we're all sitting here having a nice party, a few drinks, we're not bothered, we're not kicking up a fuss, we're not saying, hang on a minute, you can't do that, or we want it done differently. We're just happily sitting there in our ignorance, really, really happy. But it puts us in a weak position, and misinformation and false truths have put us in a weak position. So then moving forward, we have the reason why this is being done, and we're looking at it's to do with material gain. And that's so sad, because you think, excuse me, you think, wow, we're talking about potentially a planet changing event here, and it's still come down to material gain for some of these people who are arguing about what we should be told, what should be done, perhaps. It's still come down to material gain. And the outcome for the planet, so the overarching outcome, is going to be almost like things are turned on their head. We could see a new paradigm of spirituality emerge from this. We are sick of what we've been told by those that rule us. We are having no more of that. We're disappointed. It's illuminated in stars what they've done and why they've done it. I see us moving forward from this. However this event unfolds, the Earth is going to be very different after it. And I believe it's going to be very different leading up to it too, as more people are looking for the truth and not believing all the garbage that we're told, because the deceit here is incredible. So it's not the greatest news that I've ever seen in a card spread, but there are positives there. And one great takeaway from this is that we haven't seen anything like a massive disaster of, biblical proportions here. But we are seeing it's a significant event, and I'm seeing lots of fighting and lots of deceit and a big change for all of us. Hello again. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed that. It occurred to me after the reading, I thought, it is so unusual for those 4 nights to come out together in one small tarot spread, that it's really, really important. And I think it warrants a bit of a deeper dive into those characters and potentially, the power play that's going on in that situation. So I'd like to find out more. Now, I could have done it in this program, but you really don't want to listen to me drivel on for another half an hour. So I thought, you know what, we'll have a part 2. So watch out for part 2 of this episode, which I'll release in the next couple of days. And in the meantime, see you soon. Stay weird.